All right, guys. Welcome to episode 1 of the Physically Offensive podcast. This is our second or third time trying to do this because of technical difficulties. But my co-host, Brian Johnson, we're just going to kind of do a little introduction, kind of answer some Q&As and stuff today, and just see where this podcast goes. So let's get started. You're up.
I was like, all right, what are we doing? My name's Brian Johnson. I am 31 years old. I've been bodybuilding since about 2016. Competed the first time 2019. Last time was 2023. I like to take a pretty long off season, make a big difference when I come back. I'm a coach. I'm under Phil Vez, his mentorship. Been doing that for a couple of months now, and just like to train, man.
All right. What's your like competition history or education on training? How'd you get into it?
So 2019, I did my first classic physique show, got with a coach about 20 weeks out, hopped right into a prep. He talked me into it just to get my toes wet, see how I feel about the sport. Around 10 weeks, we started my first cycle. It was 300 milligrams a test. Around 4 weeks out, brought in a little wind straw, whatnot. Nothing crazy, man. Got fucking just decimated at that show. Looked like shit, doing unorthodox stuff, doing HIIT cardio on the assault bike for 45 minutes straight with abs and in between. Just very,
It
very different stuff.
it seems like everybody starts like their first show is just after like 6 months of bodybuilding. They don't do any bodybuilding, and then somebody's like, "Yeah, you should do a show."
Yep.
I mean, I was the same way. I probably did like I don't know. I did like natural bodybuilding for a few years, and then my first cycles was like someone gave me some like oral pro hormones, and then my first injectable cycle was Deca, and they had these like ReadyJect 50 milligram, like ReadyJect. I don't know. They came from Mexico or something,
Yeah.
and someone gave me like I want to say like 4 of those. I did like a month of those, and then no tea, no test with it, just Deca. That was just it. And then like I want to say it was probably 6 months after that I did my first show, and then I just did some like trenbolone acetate, no tests with it, no, no orals, no nothing. I just did like I think 350 milligrams a week of just tren acetate that somebody showed me how to make. We ordered these like Phenoplex pellets from these
Yeah,
websites.
the
These
little
like,
pink ones.
yeah, from the like cattle websites and veterinary websites. And then, from a different website, you could order this like magic potion to like, clean out the binders and whatever. And
How
just
old
like
were you at the time? You said 23?
23, I want to say.
It's such a weird thing, man. When you're like 23, you got like 5 needles in you. You're like, how the fuck did I end up here in life?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like my trajectory was always to do that. Like I started weightlifting at 13.
Yeah.
And then I had to like convince my principal to let me into like a weightlifting class because it was only supposed to be for like the upper grades. I think I was like a junior or no, sorry, I was like a freshman or sophomore maybe.
Yeah.
And I had to like convince him like, no, bro, I'm ready. So he let me in, and then, like I always just loved strength training. Like I always just was in strength stuff. I did like Olympic powerlifting in high school, and then when I got out, I remember I didn't have any money, and I was making like $10 an hour framing houses. And I would clean the gym at this like kind of like the best gym in town. It was like a fitness center, but they kind of had like a little more serious weights than like a regular fitness center. But I would clean the bathrooms at the gym like once a week for them to give me a membership.
Oh, you got that Ronnie Coleman story. See, I didn't touch weight. Like the first time I ever tried to lift, we were at my buddy's house, and he had like the fucking old school pig iron bench set and whatnot. He put 60 pounds on it, and I was just like, I was like, I was like, fuck this. I'm not doing this anymore. This shit's gay.
I remember I had one of those, and my dad must have gotten it somewhere, and it was one of the narrow benches.
Yeah.
Like
That's just like the pig iron.
the bar was like just a skinny bar all the way. It wasn't like an
Mm.
Olympic style bar with the plates. So you would just like put on these like itty bitty like 10 pound like
Did you have the,
plate.
it was like the not the concrete, like the sand weights, the plastic ones?
Yeah, I had like a maybe like one dumbbell, but it like had gotten a crack in it, so it was just losing sand.
It's always so sketchy in the beginning, man.
Yeah, so I kind of always felt like I was like meant to do weight training, strength training. Actually, kind of funny because I put up a Q&A and somebody asked me how I got into bodybuilding. And in high school, like I said, I did like the Olympic powerlifting, and there was like a coach. He had done that before, so that's like what he geared us towards.
Mhm.
And like I just like in the off time when we would do those kind of like snatch and clean and jerk, I would just do like fucking curls and like shoulder presses and like
Yeah.
trying to just get like big arms. And there was a picture of Lee Priest, and he just a poster on the wall, and it was like the first bodybuilder I ever saw. I was like maybe like 13, 14, and I was just like, man, that's like what I want. And I just like
No, I feel
I
that.
just like lifted. I just would do all the time. I would just try to do arms like every day, just biceps too. So
Were you like a piece of shit in high school, or did you kinda like behave and you're real like locked into the gym?
I didn't like I was super into the gym, but I didn't really obviously know a whole lot outside of like the Olympic lifting stuff. I took pretty serious when the coach would be
Mm.
like there with me. And then I was trying to do my best, but I kind of was like, just learning it as I went. I think I didn't really nobody really had like magazines or anything. So this was maybe like 1999. So,
Yeah.
there was stuff out there, but I was also kind of naive on how to like search for it, like when I was like probably right after high school when I discovered bodybuilding.com, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like
Looking at all the, like, crazy
people just
cycles and
talk about
whatnot.
this stuff on the internet. Like I
Mhm.
was, so, but yeah, I did the Olympic thing, and then like I got really good at that. I got like I like broke state records, and I won one state, and then I went to like I got invitationals and stuff like that. Like after I competed, and I did like the because I grew up in Utah, I did like the Utah Summer Games and stuff, and
Mhm.
I would place and stuff. So I was actually pretty good at the oldies stuff.
Yeah. See, I came completely different with it, man, like, I resented it growing up. My buddy was all into it. He was only training upper body though. He had like all the shit in his bedroom, the bench, the fucking dumbbells. We're sitting in the computer chair doing like tricep overhead. And I kind of like he's a bully to us. I loved him for it, but I hated it at the same time. I kind of resented bodybuilding, trying to get jacked and whatnot. And then later on, I was probably around like 2021. I'm sitting there, we're out by the pool. I'm looking at my buddies, they're all jacked. I look down, I'm like awkward skinny fat, just built like Kirby, just thorax, fucking tiny little limbs and shit. I'm like, who's gonna fuck me like this, dude? I look like shit, you know?
You had
I
like
gotta get this shit together. So I was like,
an
I'm gonna get me
epiphany.
I ain't gonna tell nobody, I'm gonna get me a gym membership, I'm gonna get fucking big ass arms, this and that, and I roll on down to the Planet Fitness, $10 for a month, pizza parties, you know. But I was too fucking nervous to go like during normal hours. So I go in the middle of the fucking night, dude. And I'm just every day's fucking arm day, hitting the worst little weenie
Yep.
workouts and whatnot. It just nothing was I was like also trying to run on the treadmill because I didn't know what cardio was. The first time I ran a mile, it took me like 17 minutes. I was chain smoking 2 packs a day, still drinking, just a fat piece of shit. I had my white t-shirt, spaghetti stains all over it. I'm like, I'm looking just ridiculous in there. And I
Yeah.
was like, man, I gotta get this shit. So I kept on going and going. And until I joined the military, I never went at normal hours. It was always the middle of the night, dude. I'd wake up at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, eat my chicken and rice, and roll out to the middle of Planet Fitness and whatnot. This is out in Camden, North Carolina at this point. And I started to get a little grasp on it, like via Instagram. I'm following like all the wrong people when I'm trying to train the fucking V. I got the fat dumbbell, just blowing my waist out and doing everything wrong. But at least I was balanced and I was hitting legs and everything, so it was pretty proportional, but all dog shit at the same time. And it
You
wasn't
didn't have
in,
anybody that like was teaching you or giving you a program or anything like that?
not by that point because I had moved out to Camden because I was about to join the military. So I moved back in with my parents and whatnot, saving money. My car just blew up, my GTO. I
This isn't
fuck
you're like what? Like You're like
20
20.
2021, yeah, right before I joined
Okay.
the
So you were
military.
just kind of like searching on the internet, trying to download
Just
Mike O'Hearn's ARM program or something.
Mike O'Hearn, fucking, I think his name's like Ross Dickerson, Brad Castleberry. I was like, this dude's
All
sick.
right.
When Brad first came on the scene, I'm like, I want to be like that dude's fucking huge. All the
He's
wrong
pretty,
shit, man. But yeah, it wasn't until I joined the military that I got around like-minded folk, and then started to learn a little more. I was very addicted to it. I'd be in like A school. I'm writing down like every exercise there is, like picking off the list. When am I going to do this and that? Like thinking this shit matters. Be in the gym for 3 hours. And the fucked up part of the military is you go straight from the galley eating tilapia and a bunch of like deviled eggs and bullshit. And then you go take like NO explode and just supercharge your asshole. So you go right to when you get to the gym, you just
biggest
shit
shit.
your fucking brains out. The whole gym smells bad. You train with these military folk. Every session is like a 1 rep max. We're just getting crushed under the bar and nobody knows what they're doing, but you stay with it and you learn eventually.
I mean, I almost envy because like I've had a bunch of kids that I've seen over the years in the gyms and stuff,
Mm,
and I see kind of like putting it together way better than I did. I kind of had a little bit of mentorship maybe when I was like right at the end of high school. I think I moved away for like a year, and then I moved back. And this guy Dave Green and this other guy, what's his? I don't Wayne Sawyer. They were just like, I thought they were enormous. They were probably like 200 pounds, but
yeah, yeah. That's how it
but
seems.
we were in there. They'd go in at like 4:30 because they were both did like construction, so they'd have to go there like super early before they had to go to work. And I just would lift with them, and they kind of had like a legitimate, just kind of bro split program. Like we do legs one day, and then we do back another day and stuff. So I did like that for like a summer, and that was probably where I made my most foundational like bodybuilding stuff. And this
Mm,
this is when I'm probably like maybe 19. And then yeah, um I moved back down to St. George, and I was like cleaning bathrooms and stuff like that to have a gym membership. And then like I was starting to kind of like I guess just do what they had been doing. And then yeah, just kind of progressed from there. When I moved to California was when I started dabbling in the pro hormone stuff. I mean, it's kind of hilarious that it's actually probably a good thing that I didn't know about bodybuilding.com when I was like 14, because I probably would have just been ordering like M1T and androstenedione,
mm-hmm.
like just taking the same shit as like Mark McGuire and stuff when I was a child. So it's probably a good thing that I didn't know, because that stuff was all like widely just available through ordering. You could just order like a cycle of pro hormones for like $30 on
Yeah.
online. But
Get some big old titties, boy.
yeah, so I moved to Cali, and then there was this sub company, ALR Industries, ALRI, and they had been like a big player in pro hormones, kind of like the second wave pro hormones. I would say the first wave was like M1T and Andro and stuff like that, and they were like Superdrol, Ferroplex, Max LMG. I don't know if you recognize any of those names, but
Nah, that's
they
before
were
my time.
yeah. So those were like that was like second wave pro hormones. I think they'd kind of tried to ban the first wave, and then they like started bringing out these like just a slight variation where they were like these ones. And this is like you recognize the name like Superdrol and stuff like that now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was the stuff the Clear, I think, was like one of them. Patrick Arnold had made some pro hormones and stuff, and then like he was selling them from this company Ergo Farm. And then ALR Industries was like kind of just one of the bigger players at that time, and they happened to be based out of the town that I was in. The owner of the company went to the gym, and so he like gave me some like pro hormones, and then I ran those, and that's kind of where my gyno actually got like I had it a
Develop.
little bit as a like a kid, as a teenager growing up. And then when I took the one was Max LMG, it was like 13 Gano whatever, and it just was like a progesterone based pro hormone. And
Mm.
my gyno just like fucking blew up for probably 10 years from there until I got it cut out. But um but yeah, that was where I like started kind of like really building. I started training, and I ordered like the what was the one from True Mass. Was that the one from BSN?
I don't even know.
Yeah, I think it was True Mass or something like that. It was like a mass gainer from BSN. It came in
Oh
just like
yeah.
a fucking 10-pound jug that was like I don't know, clear red. And I remember I ordered the strawberry one. I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome. I love strawberry. And like to this day, if I taste fake strawberry, I'm like, this is immediately like my it just takes me back to that
Mhm.
time. I was just trying to gag those down. And then I still kind of didn't know much, but I was taking gear and I would eat like, pre-workout would be like a Snickers bar, and then I would like go work
Yeah.
out and stuff. But then I started training with like the owner of the company, and then he kind of like started really lining me out. And this is probably when this is well, actually I had competed before that, before I started training with him. But it was kind of like all in the same time. Like he would give me like he's the one that gave me the first injectable, the Deca and stuff like that. And then one of the I worked for his company, and then one of the employees taught me how to make um the trend, and then that's when I like competed. But back to my original question, like why do we jump in so fast from like I mean, I had done some natural bodybuilding and I didn't do terrible because in those days, bodybuilding was like pretty deep. You'd go to a show and there'd be like three or four call outs at like the Border States Classic or something like that. So, I mean, I got like fourth place that show. And then like I did the novice, I got third place in the novice. So, I mean, I wasn't like terrible, but like had I like done a couple years of actual just bodybuilding and taking gear, I probably would have been like way, way higher.
Yeah.
And you're kind of the same thing, but I guess you just get your feet wet in it.
I think we jump into it so quick because we look around and we're like, there's no fucking way. All these dudes are on gear. That's the only way you look like that. It's not your fucking training. I train hard as a bitch, this and that. I gotta get on cycle. I'll be fucking nasty too. And then you get on cycle and you look like a wet bag of shit and you're like, all right, so it wasn't the gear. I just fucking suck, you know? And I mean, I did it for fucking years, dude. When I worked with a couple coaches, this one coach had me so fucking fat. There's a picture. I'll try to figure out how to attach it to this, dude. I'm like walking through the living room, just a beanie on, butt naked. Russell
That
took the
one big
photo,
bro, you were like,
and I just gutted out, bro. And I text my coach. I'm like, yo, hey, I'm kind of fucking fat. We should cut. He's like, nah, you're good. I'm like, no, we're not. I can't see my dick, bro. We got to cut now. And I started to do my first cut with him. And
hold on, how old were you in that picture? Do you think that was like when you were in the
I
first
want to
one?
say I was like, yeah, it's probably like 24.
Okay, so you've
Yeah,
been
yeah,
going for a couple years.
yeah, yeah. I ran a couple cycles, like some big ass cycles. Like my second coach, he put me on like 5 cc's bolus and that glute and whatnot, and I was just doing shit. I didn't know what I was doing, eating a
Yeah,
ridiculous amount of food, but
too much gear, too much food, too
yeah,
much
and nothing's fucking
overtraining.
sticking, and just dog shit training. And I was like, all right, this ain't working. It ain't working with this coach. So I ended up leaving that coach that I was fat with, like mid cut. It just wasn't going well. And that's when I hired Phil. Just seeing Phil yap online and whatnot all day. I was like, all right, this guy probably knows what he's talking about. And that's when I finally started reeling in. He's like, your training sucks, your nutrition sucks, you suck, you should probably get together. And he's very militant. I appreciate that. Coming from the military, I was like, I need someone to tell me I fucking suck. Because the other coaches would just glaze at me like, bro, you're going to be a pro. I'm like, bro, I don't think I should have compete. I should
Well,
stop
Phil,
right
Phil will
now.
definitely like it'll definitely rain hell down on you if you're
Yeah.
not doing your shit. Even when I am doing my shit, he's still like pointing out like you can do
Yeah.
this better.
If you get a
Thanks, Phil.
compliment, you're like, oh, fuck.
I've been waiting this whole time for one compliment.
Exactly.
But yeah, and then so you competed that one time, you're getting it together. And then you moved up here. That's when we met, was 2021.
Yep.
And then I was coming off of I'd gotten in a motorcycle accident in no, sorry, we must have met in 2022.
It
2022 is
was
when
it was
yeah.
like 20. I think it was 2021 because 2022 is when I checked into my last command.
I don't
So,
think so because I got in my
oh, maybe no, you're right. It is 2022.
accident September 11th, 2021, and then I didn't start training. Hey, I didn't start training again until like February,
No, I think you're right.
probably.
Yeah, 2022.
Yeah. And so then we started training together in maybe like July of 2022.
Yep.
So, and then obviously I'd been coached by Phil for years at this point, and we just dug in. We got Brian got a membership at Underground, and we were just like the only ones there every day at like 2 o'clock. Brian would get out of school and freaking come. We would just like train and grow. I think I put on like I was probably 235 when you first came, and then I think by the time you left, I was probably 265, 270.
Yeah, you cheating bastard. It's fucking bullshit. I'm taking more drugs, eating more food. I swear I'm training harder than you, doing everything right. I'm watching you grow circles around me. I'm like, you fucking bitch. And that's when you figure out what genetic elite is. You're like, oh, it just works like that.
Yeah. Well, you made a lot of progress like in your own right at that time. And I think that's when
Yeah.
you like switched gears on your training knowledge, and you kind of I just your trajectory ever since we've known each other has just been kind of like linear, almost just like progressing. So, and
Mm.
then you just keep working. You worked with Phil for a few years. You did the show in 2023. You did the Cal in Classic, and I think you were like what 240 around that time.
I was 235, 2 pounds below the weight cap, and still look like a fucking weenie. So I was like, classic A for me, man. Like, I'm already at cap. Sure, I could grow above cap and then cut down and then feed up into it after weigh-ins, but I'm like, it's just
Yeah,
not
you
gonna
got like
it's not gonna
dinosaur
look
bones.
good.
You need bird
Yeah.
bones to be
I'm just full of
Classic.
shit, brother. I'm heavy. I don't know why. So I'm like, it's a
Yeah.
fucked up middle ground because I'm not classic by weight or structure, but I'm not open either. I'm not fucking big boned like that. So
Mhm.
it's just gonna take a long time to grow into open, but we get there.
Yeah, and you're like 300 now, right?
Yep. Bad and sassy.
The big boy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, and then, I mean, if anyone's watching this, they probably know my story, but if everyone's not, so did the I came back from that motorcycle accident. Brian and I trained together. I got up to like 270. And then in 2023, I ruptured my bicep. And then that kind of set me back for another year. And then I kind of just like rebuilded from there. And then this year, 2026, I finally got back on stage and I competed, just a couple months ago at the Cali Pro and the Legion. So those were my first shows in 8 years. Oh my God, trying to power. Laptop's about to go dead.
Gotcha.
But
Let's go ahead
yeah,
and
that was good. I mean, like I kind of always wanted to come back, but just it's hard when you got to make a living, you got family you got to take care of, you're running businesses and stuff like that. It's hard to do, bodybuilding, like open, competitive bodybuilding for
yeah,
sure. Even with all the genetics in the world and all the, anything at your disposal. If you don't have time, it's a time sucking adventure for sure.
sure is. Let's go ahead and reel it back a little bit. Let's talk about before bodybuilding though. Like, what jobs did you work? What was like your childhood really like?
So obviously just like high school, I grew up in like a really rural area, so I had like kind of some like ranching like jobs, like
Mm,
tended some cows. My dad's friends owned like a sawmill, so we would go logging with them, and I'd go out to the sawmill and they'd have me like shoveling sawdust from making boards and stuff like that. And then I was good at construction, so when I got out of high school, I just jumped right into framing houses, and then I did like road work and kind of mostly just that kind of stuff for bouncing around for several years. And then when I want to say I was like 22, 23 was when I started working sales for that supplement company. And that was kind of my first like non laborious job.
yeah. So like, I feel a lot of bodybuilders come from hard backgrounds, man. Good ones at least. Like I worked at a car wash. That was not hard, but you'd be out there in the middle of winter and fucking people would come during hurricanes, dude. It's like middle of a hurricane. I want my car washed. I'm like, you're smoking crack. You see the nastiest fucking cars, dude. But then I worked at a marina, inboard outboard engines. My boss, he was a full time cokehead. A stripper worked the front desk, like the receptionist. Really goofy job. But then I finally made it to the shipyard, and that fucking job was something else, man. It's like working with crackheads. Everyone there has got the IQ of like 70 or below. And that
Were you like
shit.
unloading like container ships
No, I was
or
a welder and a fabricator, so I was like I was outfitting the inside of the ship and whatnot, and very very labor intensive job, carrying up like 100-pound security panels from the dry dock up onto the ship, bringing it back down to like third deck in the 100-degree heat, welding and whatnot, just
was that in the
brutal.
Navy or was that
No, that's
before
pre
you got
Navy. So I was building the aircraft carrier, CVN 78. I spent 4 years doing that. It was at first it was third shift, so that was 11 at night till 7 in the morning. That shit fucked me up, dude.
That's brutal, man.
I looked like ass. I was like 19 years old at the time. Everybody's like, "What are you like 29?" I'm like, "No, bro." That shit just
Just
fucked me,
breathing
man.
in welding fumes and
Well,
carrying like
I was a piece of shit at the time too because I was drinking, smoking on the job all day, and we'd be welding stainless steel, so it puts off like a thing called chrome 6, and I'm like, I already smoke cigarettes, so I'm not gonna wear my respirator, so I'm just huffing that shit right off the floor, putting my knees on the fucking right on the hard metal and whatnot, just blowing my body out. I was jacked up. And like I said, I'm working with these like old ass, like like I said, almost homeless people. And that shit would wear down on you mentally. I could tell I was getting dumber. I'd be around my friends. I'm barely able to form sentences and shit. I just talk just like them. And these guys are goofy, bro. They'd be doing like, they like to fish out the front of the ship, catch a fish, bring it up in a plastic bag. You see them walking out in the morning with it in their coveralls, and that fish is fucking flopping and whatnot. Like they're doing the most like homeless type shit, man. Like they're just really crazy people.
was that where was that at? San Diego?
No, that's Newport News, Virginia. So that's like
Okay.
fresh out of high school.
You're,
I got hired there. I'm making
yeah.
$16 an hour. I'm like, I got money, boy. You know, I'm feeling good. And I worked second shift or third shift for 3 years, and right at the end they put me on second shift. So that's from 12 to or not 12, 2:30 in the afternoon to 12 at night. That shift sucked way more, but that's what kind of got me more into going late at night to the gym because I was getting off. I was like, all right, ain't nobody here. I can do my thing and whatnot. And yeah, having jobs like that, man, really set the tone for hard work. You know that it whoops your ass. And I joined the military, and they're just giving out free money, and everyone's in the military like, oh, I hate this. It's fucking hard. I'm like,
It was
y'all are
easy for
smoking
you. You're like,
crack, dude. I work on the
I'm making
beach.
double the money,
Yeah.
getting my food for free, getting
And
my lodging for free.
on top of that, I'm in San Diego. I'm like, I'm looking around, I'm like, I ain't never seen women like this. This is crazy,
Right.
bro. You know, out in PB every weekend, just acting a fucking fool, sending my friends from back home Snapchats. They're like, what the fuck? I couldn't be happier, man. I loved it and coming out here and whatnot. And then that's how I ended up finding the gym. You know, one of my friends, she was at work. She was like, you got to come check out this gym. I go there. And the first time I get there, I'm training chest, and I'm waiting on this guy. He's on the incline flex. I'm like, how many sets you got? Because the military, like, you don't share equipment. Everyone's a fucking jackass. And he's like, you can work in. I was like, all right. So I'm doing my set, and hit my little fucking like 10 pounds on it. He's like, you got 5 fucking more. I'm like, oh shit. Like, you know, this guy's just hyped up the gill. You know, he's doing coke before the set. I was like, dude, I like this shit. Looking around, everybody's like 300 fucking pounds doing drop sets, just
That was the
barbell
heyday
squats.
of
Dude,
TG. It was
yeah,
World Gym time, but
I
that was
was
the heyday.
I was fucking scared in there. I ain't gonna lie, dude. It just looking around, seeing these people, I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? So I ended up hiring a coach, you know, and just beat the fucking brakes out of me. That's when I figured out, I was like, oh, this is how you train, dude. Like I didn't know what I was doing, so I ate like a big ass bowl of spaghetti, had my NO2 explode before, and I walk up into this leg day because I thought I like to have food in my stomach at the time. And I'm trying not to throw up, dude. I'm just, my back's so pumped. I've never done any of this shit. And by the end, I'm just sitting on the couch for 30 minutes thinking I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm like, what the fuck have I done? I'm like, I ain't never signed up for this shit again. And then sure enough, the next week I come on back with it and get my ass whooped again.
Did you ever train with Pete Ciccone?
So he was my second coach. I worked with him right after my show. I left the other guy because he was doing a lot of drugs and just a shitty coach, whatnot, very unresponsive. Worked with Pete, phenomenal guy, man. Really, really stand up guy.
Yeah, I worked with him. I worked with him too. Like my first show, he did my peak, but he didn't like coach me throughout. Like I just like had met him, but yeah, same thing. Like Pete put me in through some, like I'd be down there, he put me through a leg day, and I would literally be like yakking in the trash can, and then he's like, all right, come hit your next set.
But you know what's fucked up, man?
That's what I learned. I can keep pushing through after I throw up.
They don't even train like that, man. I'd watch them train. They didn't do it exactly. He would just try to torture you, which now I do that with my clients too. I get it. He's trying to teach you intensity, how far you can really push the
Yeah,
fucking button each time and not be a bitch. So I
yeah.
was thankful for that, but
It's like, in a sense, it's kind of a little bit wrong, but also in a sense, like when you're young, you need to learn how far you can go and where your level of like the correct spot to have failure is. Cause like
yeah,
if we didn't, like, I think that's kind of the issue nowadays is like people are talking about like go, 1 to 3 reps short of failure. And like they're taking it to where it just gets hard. And then they're like, they're not anywhere close. If you were pushing them on a set, they could get like 8 more perfect reps
yeah,
before they reach their like that 1 rep short of failure. So I think unless you just really get pushed that balls to the wall where you throw up, where you're just like, I don't think I can like lift my arms, whatever. I think that you don't know where that line is.
yeah. That's what I tell a lot of my younger people. I have them. We're all right now, like all the newbies, doing barbell squats for an hour or doing bench press for an hour, and they're like, "Why are we doing this? You don't do this." Well, you have true failure, and then you have perceived failure, and their rate is so far over here. I'm like, you think you hit failure, and you're not even near the bar. So I'm like, you're not going to grow until we actually hit that. I need to show you. I need to take you past that. So when you're alone, you're at least at it.
Yeah.
That's where you grow at. And I, we're so lucky to have all these machines and cute shit in the gym nowadays, but you got to start off with the meat and potatoes, man. You
Yeah.
just got to get your shit pushed in over and over. You should walk out of there damn near throwing up and sitting on the couch for an hour thinking, what have I done?
Yeah, I mean, we had the most basic stuff in my high school gym. We had an incline, dumbbells, bench press, squat rack, dip rack. I'm trying to think of what kind of machines we had. We ended up getting like a lot of machines after I was probably like maybe a senior. They got like some sort of grant and they put in basically like a circuit training, and we would kind of like pick and choose what machines we wanted to use. But
Yeah.
the fundamentals was just us doing like crazy shit with barbells.
Absolutely. So we'll try to keep this one short. I got a kind of controversial take. I want to see your opinion on it.
Okay.
You hear a lot of like higher to middle level coaches kind of shitting on people trying to get into coaching. Like they don't have a lot of experience under their belt and this and that. What is your take on, let's say Joe Blow's done 2 shows, 1 show, and he wants to look into coaching people?
Um, I think it's fine, but I think that your amount you charge should match your experience level. I think that
Mm,
like I started coaching people for free. Like I was aware that I didn't know much, but I knew a lot more than they did. And I would just like, almost use it as like a case study. Like, hey, let me write you the program that I do. And, you kind of like trial and error because obviously in my day, like I was saying, we didn't have, I didn't have like a whole lot of access. I found out about bodybuilding.com after high school. So, this is like 2004, 2005 that I probably found out about bodybuilding.com. So I think it's fine if you're like trying to um become a coach. Like if that's the job a job you want, it could be a side job, whatever. I mean, that's like we all start somewhere.
yeah.
I think that if you're just taking your previous coach's program and applying it to a new guy, then you know, yeah, you should do that in some degree because that's where you're like learning. Like, say you just like your first coach, he gave you a workout program, he gave you a nutrition, whatever. So you're kind of going to have to just go off of what you know. But I think
Mm,
just straight recycling that program might be a little this kind of disingenuous or like I don't know how you do with your clients, but like I try to coach with like as a teaching thing. Like if
yeah.
they ask me, like I encourage them to ask me like whatever questions, like how does this work or why do we do that? And then I explain it to them. So like, if you're getting coached under me, then like you're if you want to build your knowledge, you definitely can, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So um I also think that if you're hey, can you chill? I think if you're trying to become a coach, you should invest some effort into, you know, apprenticing under somebody, reading a book about, the kind of stuff you're doing the research, getting a little base of knowledge, not just hire a coach and then recycle their program. So I tend to not have a qualm with it as long as you're, you know, increasing your knowledge. You're not just stealing some other coach's, you know,
100%.
proprietary information and then just feeding it to someone else, because then you don't know what to do because someone else has different genetics than you and they're getting totally different results and you're like, well, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah. I feel it. You got to get some skin in the game, obviously. Like, I had been bodybuilding, been with coaches for about 7 years before I even considered working with people and whatnot. And of course, at first, I did take people on for free. But the big issue with doing it for free is there's no ante. They're not going to comply.
Yeah,
So
100%.
I put a post up. I got like 3 people for free, and I told them, I was like, you get 3 months. We'll see how it rolls. If I like you, I'll keep you. If I don't, if I don't feel you're compliant, I'm gonna drop you immediately. And that kind of led into it. And I charge always a very fair rate in the beginning. But the biggest issue I think is people don't understand what coaching is, and they don't actually have a passion in helping people or really even the sport. Like, they do their first show and they're like, I want to be a coach. I want to do what my coach is doing. You gotta really spend some time to figure out how much you love this shit. In the beginning, you should be focused on being the best bodybuilder you can be, and then consider coaching people. But I do
Mm.
see a lot of these higher level and moderate level coaches. They're like, you need to have an apprenticeship. You need to have someone just supervising all your work and whatnot. And I'm like, I get that, but maybe this person truly loves it. They study it. They have a lot of education. They just don't have experience to express that.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
how do we get good at anything? We put in reps. So you need your
yeah,
reps are your clients. And if you're transparent, like, hey, this is my education. I've never put someone on stage, X, Y, and Z. If you want to rock with me, that's cool. Like,
yeah,
I have people now, clients who are much better bodybuilders than me. And they're fully aware of what I have and like what I've done. They, I can only go as far as my genetics let me, but they want to rock with me. They're like, I want to get on stage with you. I trust you. All right, cool. Let's roll with it.
yeah. There's definitely a lot of possibility for people just to be shit coaches, and I would just consider that just being like a snake oil salesman. If you're
Yeah.
like shooting up pictures of yourself and you're acting like you're a top level coach, and this is you've only ever coached like one client or something. I think that that's just like a little bit disingenuous. But yeah, you like you said, you got to start somewhere, and I agree with you 100%. The people I've written dozens and dozens of programs for free, and like I won't say nobody did them, but like the amount of people that like did do them is probably in the like 20% maybe, but the amount of people that do them now, when I write a program they're paying me, is 100%. Like,
Yeah.
not 100%, but it's like
A lot
significantly higher.
higher.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
let's see, we could go back and answer a couple. I got some more Q&A questions that we didn't answer.
We do a couple of those.
Okay. Um, people are now getting capsules. Okay, so this person, I don't know if we did this last time, but says since there's a shortage of primo, people are now getting on capsules. Is that as good?
Yeah, we talked about that. And basically, I think the best route is accept what's on the market and use what you know is true and available. Stop trying to force like all these drugs. You don't need primo. You don't need mass. Like, you can
It's nice,
it, it,
but
it,
you don't need
you
it.
can make anything work, man. You can roll with Tess and Deca into a show and then pull it out at the right time and still get a pretty fucking good look. Is it ideal? No. Is it gonna make it more complicated? Of course, but you don't have to have these drugs. Don't make your life harder than it needs to be.
Yeah. John Meadows, I said this. John Meadows, they would use whatever they had available.
Yeah.
They would get a box of Winstrol and a box of Equipoise from the vet, and that's what they would have available. So all steroids work in a similar manner. They all upregulate protein synthesis. They all, partition nutrients from getting stored as fat over to being stored as muscle, increase strength. So a lot of it how you look is going to be dictated by your nutrition, your training, your cardio. Definitely the gear is going to have some aspect to it, like if you use a more dry or wet compound. But I would say that like you just said, you could probably diet for a show on just test and deca and get like significantly shredded because of your program. Just because you're slightly higher, water retention or something doesn't mean that you're not going to be peeled.
Yep.
So I think that those other factors of what you do is going to be more important than what you take. This one's kind of because it's just like a current thing. I know we answered it last time, but like, how long can you run Retta? Is that like, let's talk about that one for a minute.
Yep. So like the devil's in the dose, man. The dose and the duration of it. Uh, I have most of my clients actually never put anyone above 2 milligrams. Most people are sitting around 1 milligram, and you can run that quite a long time. People use it as a crutch. Its primary use should not be food noise. It should be the glucagon effects with insulin and everything. Don't use it to quiet the food noise. We need that biofeedback to understand where you're at. Like you run enough Retta, you could be on such low calories. Like I don't give a fuck, you know. But in
And that's
reality,
what happens
you
to a
need to
lot of
know
these
where
people that
you're
are
at.
that's what happens to a lot of these people that are having the muscle wasting. They're starting to have issues with neurological and stuff like that, just because their calories are so low, they're malnourished.
Did y'all use Retta for the cal?
No, I've never
Yeah,
used
I'm
any
I'm not
GLP.
I'm not a big fan of it in competition prep. Lifestyle clients, I think it's the greatest thing on earth. You know, it teaches them discipline if you let it. But
Yeah,
I think in contest prep, you're skewing that look. You know, you're spinning through your carbs way faster than you should, and then you just like I say, you don't have that biofeedback. It's not worth having that variable, and if it may not be there forever, we may not have access to it. So what are you gonna do when it's gone and you don't know how to fucking prep without it? You're just a soft bitch.
yeah, yeah. If you can't handle the hunger aspect, you are just a soft bitch,
Yeah.
But
Now,
with lifestyle, you touched on something. I think that you should, like, if you're getting coached by us or by someone that starting a GLP, you should have an exit strategy. It shouldn't just be like, oh, we're going to take this until we don't feel like taking it. You should just be like, all right, almost like you would do a cycle of gear. Like, we're going to do this for 16 weeks. We're going to go up to this dose. We have a plan. We're not going to. And if you don't have a plan, or if you like deviate the plan, like, what was the point of even like writing a plan? So
mm,
I think that, like, having an exit strategy, and that kind of goes to like the answer to this question, how long can you run? I mean, I would say like 4 to 6 months. Try to get down your body fat to where you're like want to be at, and then use the principles that you learned of like nutrient timing, of portioning your meals, of stuff like that, to maintain that after you know after you come off.
yeah, I don't think we have the long enough studies to know the length that we can truly run it for. I know people have been over a year and whatnot. I think the best approach is giving yourself like a prep timeline. Like I have 8 weeks to 6 months to get all this fat off. No matter what, I'm coming off of it at that point, and I'm going to
Yeah,
either rebound out of this, reset the metabolism, whatever it may be, and I'll do another cycle of it later on. But give yourself that timeline so you're not married to it. You should not stay on this forever, especially since we don't know the repercussions of it long term.
absolutely. Yeah. Have you ever taken a GLP?
Yeah, so the last cut I did, me and Dave, we did that. It was an 8 week cut. I started at 295, a little bit of clean and whatnot. We stayed on. We kind of geared the cycle a little bit more towards cutting, but it was still very high drugs and whatnot. We were trying to grow in this cut, not produce a look per se, but just use that to rebound through a health phase.
Insulin
We
sensitivity.
we started at 0.5 milligram a week, and then I think we ended at the 8 week mark at 1.25. And my
Nice.
calories got cut in half. I went from 8.4 down to like maybe 39, something like that. Never was starving. I felt great. It was just too easy. And it
Yeah,
worked good, but obviously we know it gives you that flat look, which is okay in a mini cut for me because I'm not trying to produce a look exactly. Yes, I'm trying to get down to a lower body weight and resensitize the body, but I'm
you're
not.
almost using it like a health phase.
I was using it in the context of I don't need to look my best. I'm not getting on stage. I'm just trying to get the body fat down, resensitize the body so that way I can rebound through the off phase and keep that even more productive. I don't have to be full. I don't have to be peaked, So having that deteriorated look doesn't actually matter. Just the same thing with the way I structured the cycle. It's like I didn't lower the test. I didn't do anything much different. I threw a little bit of trend in at the end, but I was trying to, continuously grow through this cut and still be productive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Along kind of the same lines, what I was just saying, I did blood work at like a week out from the cow,
mm,
and I was actually a little bit surprised how like insanely good my blood work was because like I wasn't doing any orals, but I was doing like a pretty significant dose of trenbolone, and all my labs were like phenomenal. My ApoB was like in the super healthy performance range. Like
mm,
I think the only thing that was like what was out of range? My HDL, I think, was like in range, but it was on the lower side. And then obviously just my test and estradiol were like out of
correct.
range.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I attribute that to just losing weight, like just bringing my calories down. Prior, I was at like over 6,000 and I was just crushing like just like to get that high, I have to do a shitload of fats.
Mm,
Had so many fats in my diet. So really during prep, we just pulled my fats down super low. Like some days I was probably down to like, you know, 20 to 30 grams of fat, kind of on my normal days, I was probably 50 to 70,
yeah.
but significantly lower because I like to grow on fats because it's just
Mm,
like calories for me. So I mean, I've done probably upwards of like 300 grams of fat in a day.
I don't know how you do that. So in that,
But like I think just the weight, just dropping because I dropped from 262. My lowest I got in prep was like 235. I think just pulling off that amount of weight, like all my values just got phenomenal.
yeah, not being a big old fat shit, dude. That stuff just tears you up.
Yeah, you look at your bloods when you're like heavy off season is like that's kind of rough on bloods for
Did you
me.
did you ever bring in the glutathione and AD like I showed you?
Yeah, I did it prior to early in prep. I was doing it, and then I kind of just fell off with it. The
Yeah,
glutathione.
you were getting
uh,
that it was already reconstituted, right, in liquid
No,
form.
no, the glutathione I had to reconstitute,
Okay,
and
that's a good one.
it would make me hurt, but, it just was like the site where I did the shot was just so painful that I just if it's too much pip, I always am like, "Oh, I'll do that tomorrow," and I just never do. But
Yeah,
NAD plus, I did end up liking that one.
yeah, that makes a
Uh,
big difference on your markers.
yeah.
Like I was mid cycle, I was pushing closer to 3 grams a gear, 300 pounds, and I put my labs, my HDL, not HDL, my ALT, AST, and GGT were like ALT and AST were below 30, GGTs well within range. CSAT and ST, all the kidney markers, everything is very relaxed. HSCRP was at a point 0.2, and like I said, middle of the fucking cycle, it should be banging a little bit, and those
Mhm.
really make a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, even when I'm pushing heavy, my, CRP is super low, it's like zero point 0.5.
Mm.
My GGT, my liver values was like 9, and I was like I think the range goes from like up to 17 or something like that is for still for like optimal range. So
Yeah, yeah.
we can look at blood labs if people are interested in looking at my labs when I was like a week out, on a pretty heavy contest prep. And if we can talk about that stuff if people want to drop some requests down in the comments. Let's see. What's your opinion on an upper lower split?
I think honestly, in the beginning, I think it'd be very great, especially natural people, really just anybody. It's having that frequency is a big game changer, right? The way I look at it is like swinging a baseball bat and hitting the ball. You got to swing that bat a million times before you get good at hitting the ball. Every time you put in the reps, you're getting better and better. And I try to express this with clients is I want high frequency and I want high volume because you cannot accrue the amount of damage needed anyways to destroy your CNS or your muscle. So if you do 10 sets on something, I don't care. You're only you could probably do the same weight almost in same reps every set just because you don't know how to take it to failure. And it's
Yeah.
us getting those. You got to burn it to learn it kind of thing.
And there's something to be said about just learning the proprioceptivity of doing a thing. Like the first time you do a curl, like you just you move the weight up and it doesn't look right. It's like the first time you ride a bike, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Then you ride a bike, every day for a month and you're just like, you're locked in, you're speed racer. So I think lifting is the same way. The first time you do a new exercise, it's a skill based. You have to acquire the skill in order to do it. But then, like, the more you do it, you start to feel like, oh yeah, I can feel like I'm getting a pump.
Yeah.
I can feel like I'm, moving this correctly. So there's something to be said, like you just said, about doing the reps. Like if you don't do the reps, your brain won't learn the mechanics of what you're putting together.
Yeah, but
Personally, upper lower split to me is it's hard because upper day is just so many muscle groups. It's hard to, if you're doing like even just low volume, like a set for each thing, it's just like, you know, shoulders and chest and rear delts and back and medial delts, biceps and triceps. And, if you're doing like a set for each thing, it's just such a long workout that I personally would probably break that into, you know, like probably a push pull legs would probably be my more favorite than a upper lower split. Like you just said, I don't think it's bad. I think maybe if you had like a upper lower split where you did like an upper A, upper B, maybe, then you could kind of like push one to the other. So it was like still upper lower. I think just doing the exact same workout, it might kind of, for beginners, it might just get a little bit repetitive where they're like, which obviously the repetition is good, but like when you're a beginner, I feel like exploring a little bit is going to be better. Like exploring what you like. Don't just stick to like, all right, I just got to do dumbbell curls, you know?
yeah, I think it's the way if how you write out the training, keeping it very compound based and not hyper fixating on the little muscles, the rear delts and stuff like that. Really just like doing a shoulder press, doing a bench press, doing a pull down, doing a row, keeping it very basic and then
Okay.
not prescribing the amount of the maximum amount of sets per se. Like put a cat like a minimum amount would be a good idea. Like you
Yeah.
need to at least be doing 3, but you can push this up into 10. You can push this up into 20 reps. Basically, we are just trying to learn the patterns of these movements and become efficient at it. And then as you advance, obviously that training will continue to break apart more and more. We might go to push pull legs, then a
Yeah.
bro split. But if you're doing like a bro split in the beginning, you're never getting good, dude. How long can a junior guy just sit there and bang out shoulders, dude? Like, what you know what I'm saying? They just you don't need to hit every fuck. The whole shoulder sucks. Just hit the meat and potatoes and move on with it.
Yeah. I really only have like two shoulder exercises on my shoulder workouts. I just do a shoulder press for front delts
And
and
then a leg press.
a lateral raise. Yeah, for
You train
leg
your
press.
shoulders no matter what you're doing, man. You wake up with a shoulder pump.
Yeah, but going to your point, I only do two or three exercises on my whole shoulder day. That's why I put it in with arms because I'm able to do, I think that to what you said, yes, obviously the compounds really matter, but I think maybe that's why we see a lot of people with like really shit arms is because they just do compounds and then they put their arms as like an afterthought, almost like people do calves as an afterthought. They're
Mm.
like, oh yeah, I bounce like 10 reps on the calf raise and then I'm out of here. I think people do that for arms a little bit and then they don't have, they're like, why are my arms behind the rest of my body? So I think having just specific arm training is like important from like an early time if you're trying to do it for aesthetic. So if you're just trying to like do it for like if you're just trying to do it to like for fitness for training, then I think an upper lower is going to be great. But if you're trying to like have a specific goal of aesthetics, I think a little bit of like direction from the beginning is pretty important.
Yeah, I get that.
um let's see, this one's kind of an interesting question. Do you beat yourself up if you miss any lifts during a workout?
Absolutely not. And you're the one that taught me that. Kill the muscle and get out.
Yeah.
I preach this so much too. Is if you don't make it through the whole workout, that's fine. Don't get married to this program. It's very gray area. It's not black and white. Like if you decide
Bodybuilding for sure.
if
Bodybuilding
you
definitely.
if you decide that you want to do an hour on hack squats, especially in the junior area, I think it's fucking phenomenal. Just torture yourself. Just master that fucking movement. You can get almost, I mean, maybe throwing a hamstring curl, hit the backside a little bit, but what it just depends on the context of it. But sometimes you don't need to make it to the end. You've given it all you got. The muscles fatigued. Anything else after that is just junk volume. You're just beating that dead horse over and over.
Mhm. All right, I got another question. I'll kind of expand this from like a early, I don't know, we should maybe almost give 2 examples. Do you believe in like a clean bulk or a dirty bulk? Like, do you believe in like more clean foods, or do you think that obviously it's going to be like genetics specific, but do you kind of think that like by and large the population should do a more clean bulk or just like a high calorie dirty bulk?
I think it's person to person dependent. Like me to
Yeah.
you, I'm sure we could clean bulk you in the beginning and you would grow just because you go outside and see the sunlight. Versus someone like me, I was forever trapped at 220 pounds and I had to eat a retarded amount of food, but on top of that, eat shitty food to get to stick. And I
Yeah.
think everyone needs not everyone, most people in the beginning should try to push that weight up within, healthy body fat to some degree. If you're a fat shit, you can't see your dick, go ahead and stop, like I did at that one point.
Yeah.
But you need to push that body fat up quite high, just overall weight, and marinate there for a while. And basically you get the body to accept, like, we can be here now. And then, of course, we'll cut it back down, but you got to get the body acclimated to being at that heavier weight. If not, like that clean bulk for skinny fuckers like me, it doesn't work. It doesn't stick. And as I've gotten more tissue and over time, the body's now accepted I can actually grow without being a fat ass. But I pushed 280 in that photo, and I had to actually be at that to get the body to start doing that. It never wanted to go above that 220.
Yeah. I noticed that even myself because I will hit like a number, like a new heavy weight, and it'll be uncomfortable. Like my sleep will be shit. Just tying my shoelaces. I'm like getting in and out of my truck. I'm like breathing slightly hard. I'm like, what the fuck? I just walked from my front door to my truck, and then I had to climb up into my truck, and I'm like,
Mm.
you know. But then I maintain that weight, or maybe even like I diet down, and like right now I'm 255 and like I'm the best 255 I've ever been right now. Like I've been kind of intermittently using my CPAP, but I'm sleeping like great, with or without it. I'm like, I noticed that I wake up only like once per night to take a piss at like halfway through the night, which when I was 260 last time before prep, I was just like, I'd wake up, my sleep was atrocious, and I would like wake up 10 times in the night, and I would like every time I wake up was because I'm like, and then I'd wake myself up and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get up and take a piss. So I would like go take a leak, lay back down, try to fall back asleep. So, but there's something to be said about like setting like a new bar for your body to get used to and acclimating your body to that. And then, maybe like get up to the new bar, stay there for 3, 4 months, and then maybe diet down, 10, 15 pounds off, and then kind of like regroup, insulin sensitivity, and then kind of like go up from there. And yeah, I think to some degree, people are going to have some shitty calories to um to just get in enough calories. Like once you get up to be above 220 pounds, that's a decent amount of calories that you're gonna have to just put in your body in a day. And like if you're just doing it all chicken and rice, like it's just like too much food. Like there's just there's so much you
The
putting in
GI
some
is not
fat.
going to handle that volume at a certain point. Like with me, my food being at 8,400, I had to blend 5 out of 6 of my meals because the
Yeah.
GI distress, it's not going to fucking work. I put like 400 grams of rice in the blender. I can't fit anymore because I would, but then I had to put
Yeah.
dextrose powder on top of that. And I've been doing that for the last like couple of years. And I hit 300 in the morning. I held it for a little bit. And then I did a little cut, came back down to like 275. And then the next push phase, I did the same thing again, brought the food up even higher. And I didn't
Yeah.
actually get above 300. Actually, my metabolic rate got higher, but I still stayed with my clean food. The body recomped through this whole process. I marinated at that 295 that I was hitting that second time.
Yeah.
But I've come to realize like I have to actually push shitty food now. Like I need something to stick. So I'm in the
I was
process of doing that right now. I'm pulling the fucking Luke and Phil method. I'm gonna start incorporating In and Out couple
double
times a
double.
week. I don't want that shit, but I need
I
those
mean,
dense calories to stick to me. If not, I can't get above 300 anymore. What am I going to do? You
yeah,
know, 8,400 calories of clean food. It's not sticking. What's the next step?
I think there's a measured way to do it because when I do, yeah, we have used double doubles and fries to increase my calories through the day, but the whole day I'm doing clean, and then my last meal is that. I don't think that you should just like dirty bulk doing pancakes for breakfast and stuff because then you're not going to be able to be pushing in the rest of your meals the way you should. So yeah, it is kind of a dirty bulk, but it's like a measured dirty bulk. Like you're like, okay, these are prescribed calories. I'm not just like trying to mash, pumpkin pie to get in to get in extra calories.
Yeah, the key is to backload it at the end of the night. I like to do that with my fats in general. I'm not a
Mhm.
big proponent of fats for myself. They slow motility of the gut, and it just
Yeah.
makes it hard to get the food all day. But the last meal of the day, and the same thing with my cheat meals, I have it as the last meal on my off days because it stunts you, bro. You know, you go out to breakfast in the morning and you have fucking pancakes and the whole 9 yards.
You're not
You're
eating till
you're
2
yeah, you're going home, you're taking a nap, you're fucking pregnant, you look like shit. And you might eat it too, and then it's another 4 hours after that. You've just stunted yourself. So putting these bolus meals at the end, they're tremendous. They really help.
All right, let me find another one. Oh shit. Did you have any questions from our previous try at doing the
I had some, but I lost it. It wasn't a lot, man. I got like 12 followers.
At
That's
least
like
they're
I
loyal.
come up with my own.
At least they're loyal. All right, let me see if I can find a few more. What what's your opinion on Primo oil versus tabs?
I don't have one. I don't see that.
Um,
Why are we using tabs?
maybe it's all that they have available. So I touched on this on the story, but Primo comes in two forms. One is Primobolan acetate. Kind of the only thing that's cool about Primobolan acetate is it's a oral anabolic that is non C17 alpha alkylated. So you're not going to have the liver stress that you would have with other compounds like Anavar, Winstrol, Dianabol, Androl. Um, so it's cool for that aspect, but along the same lines, I've only ever seen it in dosages that a woman would do. Like the highest I've seen is 20 milligrams, which 20 would be high for a woman. I mean, I would probably start a woman at like 5 milligrams if
Mm,
she was like starting out. So, but yeah, a 20 milligram for a guy would be like, you know, it would be almost like nothing. Like 100 if you took one per day, it'd be like 140 milligrams a
you'll
week would
be eating
be,
a fuck ton of pills, bro.
yeah, you'd be eating a lot of those. You probably have to get, because I would say it's probably, having never done it, but having done injectable Primo, so I don't specifically know. I've only ever like seen women take the oral. I would say you probably have to be at a higher dose than you would have like Anavar. So like you're looking at probably 50, 100 milligrams per day to get a substantial enough dose. And then it probably would be just an addition on top of like your other injectable compounds. So if you're a guy, probably just stick to injectable Primo. If it's not available, get Equipoise. Oral, you know, if you're a woman, then maybe yeah, start low. Uh, let's see. All right, we got a listener question. Cardio in the off season. What do you prescribe and how important is it?
Never heard of it. Wouldn't fucking do it.
Anything above 10 reps is cardio.
Exactly. Getting out of bed's enough, brother. I person to person, I think the best form of cardio in the off season for most people is just hit, blowing the fucking pipes out. Get on the assault bike, beat yourself to death for about 10 minutes, keep the heart healthy. and stay not anaerobically adapted to cardio. So that way, when you pull the switch on prep, you get a huge response. You know, obviously, if I think, yeah, doing hit and then steps. I think try to improve your steps is probably the best way of minimizing fatigue and then being a fucking normal person, getting outside, get some sunlight. Because you know damn well we don't go outside enough. Everything's inside
Yeah.
a gym, inside your house, on the fucking bed, the couch. That's usually my go-tos. Some people they need a little bit of cardio for fat mitigation, but I try to keep that very, very low.
Um, I see a difference between cardio and steps. I don't consider steps cardio. I kind of consider that just like calorie burn that's kind of just necessary. If you're I mean, and I mean steps by like people will just have like a an Apple Watch and they'll be like a server, you know, or something at a restaurant. They're getting in 20,000 steps in a day, but I really wouldn't call that cardio. You're like walking from the kitchen to the person's table and then you're taking order and you're not really getting your heart rate up for an extended amount of time. You're not making it where you have to breathe hard enough. So I kind of don't really consider steps as cardio.
Mm.
I do think that cardio does have a place. As you get bigger, I do like to use some cardio for two reasons. One is it helps me get my motility in the morning. It helps me have more ability to eat more food because, like, I'm traditionally like a difficult appetite person. So to grow, I use 20 to 30 minutes. You know, I like kind of a moderately heavy, like I get high zone two where I'm like 135 heart rate for 20 minutes on the Stairmaster or something like that. And that just allows me to eat probably double the amount of calories that I burn. Like if I have a little bit of calorie burn. And then two, I like that because it makes it where my training capacity is so much better. I remember I learned this when you and I were training. We were doing legs and I got heavy so fast that like my respiration just was not there to be able, I would do like 7 reps on the hack squat and I would be breathing so hard that I would just be like this is how it ends. Like literally I would like every week we would just go in and do those hack squats and I was like just dying and it started giving me so much anxiety. I would like throw up like before the workouts. I would get so anxious. I remember one time I almost had you take me back home because we were going to do legs and I was like so anxious about not being able to catch my breath during the workout. And I think that right then was when I started going to the gym and I would hit 20 minutes and I pulled back from being 270 pounds to 265 and my training capacity got to where I could do probably 30% to 40% more training during our training just because of getting up and getting my heart rate up to 135 140 for 15 20 minutes. So just for the training aspect I really do like it. And then if you're 5'10 and 270 pounds, like you got to be keeping your heart healthy. Like if you're doing nothing, like if you stay that way for 10 20 years, you're going to have some pretty shit cardiovascular values. So I like cardio for those reasons. I mean, Brian doesn't seem to like have as much issues as I have with the training side. So I mean, I guess it's going to be just case independent.
So the way I see it is you had an issue of oxygen deprivation before muscular failure. And a lot of people have that, but that's why we leverage HIT is because we're really maximizing that performance of the cardiovascular system, and it's a smaller window. It's like people in the off season are fucking lazy. They're not going to do half the shit you want them to do. Like if I tell you to do cardio 5 times a week, they're like, nah, fuck that. So if I
That's
tell
why
you,
I'm like, that's why I like it daily, just because like you get up and it's just part of your routine. But I agree, like, and especially with the hit, I do agree 100% with that. If you're taking it up, blowing your pipes out, as Phil would say, getting your heart rate up for 10, 15 minutes, yeah. But I notice the people I prescribe that to, they don't do it. So people that like I tell to get up, walk on your treadmill, incline for 20 minutes, they tend to do that on a more daily basis than they do those hit workouts that are kind of like at their leisure.
yeah, that's why I get them to send me videos sometime. Send me
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
screen. Let me see what you're doing. We know you're being a bitch, but I
Yeah.
catch them.
Prove
You
it.
know, I have a lot of my clients at my gym. I walk upstairs and I see them on the fucking assault bike. And then their sprint, they're just a little fat. I'm like, hell nah, bitch. I walk up to him, I look at him like, hey, what are we doing?
Speed up. All right, let me see.
We'll get
Let me
like
see if
one
I have.
more question and then we'll do a little closeout.
Okay. Uh, Somebody asked how to digest large quantities of food. Any tips? I feel like you're a good
Fucking blend that shit.
blend it.
I think your appetite's like a muscle. You got to work it. You got to build up into it. Don't get so horny that you're like, I got to have 7,000 calories when your body's not ready to uptake that seven. Slowly
Yeah.
build it up, sneak calories into it, continuously do that. And then digestive walks, meaning like walk 5 to 10 minutes after you eat.
Yep.
It's going to help move that food. Same thing with before the meal. If you walk just a little bit before, it's going to prep the body, have your water intake right before that, and then slow the water intake during the meal. But find hacks, find denser food using cream of rice with less water so it's not so voluminous.
Voluminous. Yeah.
There's
Um,
little ways to get it. And then obviously
I
having the proper GI health. A lot of people don't realize, like, take a look at your shit. What does it look like? How often are you shitting? How much water are you drinking? Like, those things add
yeah.
up.
I like to use sauerkraut. Sauerkraut, like when we were training together, literally, what was that? 2022. I had liquid shits from like then until like 2025. Like you could probably count my amount of solid shits on one hand from like 2020. Like I'm being a little bit exaggerative, but like it was literally like once a week I would have like a normal shit, and I started pounding the sauerkraut. Doing I just buy the big jar. So I would just like if I'm eating
Mm,
my steak, I would just take like a spoonful of that, kind of eat it as like, and literally it like rebuilt my GI like in within 3 months of doing that. Like I have like if I have like a liquid shit now, it's like rare. I'm like, huh, what's going on? Did I did I have an issue with something? And now I'm like, it's like the other way around. It's like once a week or once a month I'll have a liquidy shit. So
Do you do that in your check-ins with your clients? Like I have them bowel movement frequency and then also Bristol stool chart. Like, what are you making? Look at it.
yeah, I don't do the stool chart, but I'll ask them like just to kind of like let me know. I'm like I ask them if they have having acid reflux. I ask them if they're having any kind of bowel issues, and then we just try to troubleshoot that through like what they're doing, how they're eating, if they're you know stress in their life, if they're eating their food too late and they're just laying down, if
Mm.
they're if they're taking any kind of like oral steroids. I'm like, all right, that's when I really ask. I'm like, are you getting any acid reflux or anything like that? Because or how's your appetite when they're doing like an oral steroid course? Just because that's like when I notice it the most.
Yeah. You work with females too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It, it's always a female. It's like, how often are you having bowel movements? Every 3 days. It's been like this my
Once a
whole
week.
life. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And you're like, are you doing this? Are you taking any fiber? I got this girl on fiber, and she's like, it's not working. It's not working. Well, she's taking it pre-workout. I'm like, what the fuck are we
Oh
doing,
no.
man? I was like, that's gotta feel awful.
What fiber do you like?
Phil's gonna hate to hear this, but I love that fiberlize, boy. That's
Oh,
magic.
the Fiberlize for me is it's been my favorite since probably like shit 2017.
It's
Like
it's mad. Dude, my wife is hooked. She every night. She'll never forget that shit. Fiberlize. Woo.
yeah.
You
Does
wake up
she
with that
like
snatch waist.
does she mix it and then drink it? Or I was dating a girl for a while and she would mix it and then put it in the fridge and let it get all congealed and then she would like eat it like it was like
Yeah.
uh
So I did that in prep. You just trying to stretch everything. I'd be eating it
yeah.
like pudding, but no, we just drink it, man. Just drink it like normal. I don't want that shit
Yeah, I
now.
try to just pound it like before it starts to congeal. I'm like
Yeah, you got
zzz.
like 2 seconds and that shit turns into pudding.
Yeah. But I I love that stuff. Literally I wake up and I'm like, "Oh, I got to go."
Yep. Life
Like
changing
first thing,
shits.
it bulks up and it does. It snatches your waist. It clears you out. So yeah, Dave's got something solid with the fiber lies going.
I mean, when you're on the McDonald's only diet, boy, you need to know how to shit.
Yeah, yeah. Some other tips. Let's see. To eat large quantities, digest large quantities. Um, making your food like where you're wanting to eat it is kind of like a big thing. I think like if you're just eating like boiled freaking beef and boiled chicken, like your body's not going to want to uptake that. So, having foods that you're able to eat a large portion of, whether that means, slow cooking something and having it, just tasty. Don't be afraid to like season up your stuff to make it good. If you're trying to make bodybuilding more hardcore, you're doing yourself a disservice to like just going with the flow of it sometimes.
Absolutely.
So, all right, that was a pretty good. We're probably at like an hour or something. So,
Yeah. Let's go ahead and close it out. So, how do you want to go about this podcast? Let's talk about that. What are we trying to do with it? Like,
I mean, I think we're kind of gonna just do like talking about stuff like we just did. I mean, like I like just kind of chatting. I mean, if we get guests on here talking about their methods or just fun stuff, I enjoy podcasts that are just more like casual like this. I mean, like I like enjoyed like the transcend podcast, like his kind of format and stuff like that.
mm,
So I think it's just gonna be like our experiences, us maybe having like a topic that we talk about, doing a Q&A, bullshitting about, you know, experiences we've had with bodybuilding and stuff like that. I kind of just dig that.
yeah, I think we have, times where we have Phil and educators on and talk a lot of bodybuilding, but I think it's so played out, man. Every podcast is just bodybuilding, bodybuilding. I want to get kind of fucking retarded with it, man. I want to have on unorthodox people. Like I got a guy from my old shop, the mechanic shop. Love to have that guy on. Just talk shop talk, just be
Yeah,
fucking goofy with it, man. Bodybuilding's so serious, but some people just want to connect and hear some funny shit, make it
yeah.
a little different.
Yeah, and I think I mean, me too. Like I enjoy other stuff. Like we both have a love for like OBS Fords and
Yeah.
I got motorcycles and stuff like that. So I'd like to have almost some of our hobbies that we just get off topic. So people are like, "Oh, I listened to this podcast about bodybuilders," but then they'll maybe expand their horizons a little bit about learning about a new funny thing about experiences that we have. We send more memes about like OBS Fords falling apart than we do about bodybuilding
Yeah.
between you and me at this point.
Gotta let the people know that we're human too. I think
Yeah,
like your tent buddy would be a tremendous guest. Just
yeah,
get up here and just fucking riff. So I want to come into this sometimes with no topics, no conversation, no bodybuilding. Just talk some
yeah.
fucking shit, have fun with it.
I mean, that's kind of what we did here, and I feel like it was a pretty good flow. So I think that just kind of like the same sort of casual, experiences, and kind of just see where the conversation goes, rather than try to force a topic. So I mean, sometimes we'll definitely have directions on topics, because it's kind of fun to maybe explore something. But like you said, have Phil on, and then also have Dustin. We can talk about tinting or geopolitics or something.
A little bit of bullshit. Hell yeah. So you want to keep doing this on Sundays?
Yeah, actually, I think Sunday's pretty solid. Then we can release it on Monday. So
That
let's do
sounds
that.
good. All right, brother.
Yeah. But let me wrap it up. So thanks for listening, guys. If you're still here, if you got some Q&As, drop them in the comments. We'll try to maybe get to them on future episodes. So if you want to hit Brian up about some coaching, he's got his Instagram, Brian Johnson. If you want to hit me up, Luke the Hulk on, here's this. I think it's going to go on the YouTube channel. We'll try to get this on like Apple and Spotify and all those. So anyway, thanks for listening, guys. We're out of here.
All right.